All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about that voice in your head. You know the one that second guesses every decision, replays every awkward conversation, and just generally won't shut up. Today, we're going to build a toolkit to finally break that cycle.
Ugh, does that sound familiar? It's like you hit instant replay on a moment you wish you could forget, and you're just stuck in that cringe. It's a voice that feels like our own, but man, it is not our friend.
So let's give this thing a name, right? This is your inner critic. It's the part of you that, when you stumble, doesn't offer a helping hand. Oh no, it offers harsh judgment. Its whole job, really, is to point out every possible flaw to keep you safe, which really just means keeping you small.
And here's the kicker. This inner critic isn't just some harmless background noise. Nope. It's the engine, the fuel for a really nasty and destructive feedback loop that can leave you feeling completely and totally stuck.
A cycle of what, exactly? A cycle of nonstop worry, of crippling perfectionism, and ultimately of doing nothing at all. The fear of making a mistake gets so big that you just freeze.
So that's the problem. But what if you could just cut the power? What if you had the tools, the circuit breakers to stop that whole loop dead in its tracks? Well, the good news is you can, and that's exactly what we're going to get into.
Okay, first things first, let's understand what we're actually up against. That feeling of being frozen, overwhelmed by all the what-ifs. It has a name, analysis paralysis. And I want to be really clear, this is not a personal failing. It is a well-known cognitive pattern. So what does that really mean? At its heart, analysis paralysis is when the fear of making the wrong choice becomes way more powerful than the need to make any choice. Your brain gets so tangled up in all the possibilities that it just short-circuits. Action becomes impossible. And you know what makes this even worse? Something called the paradox of choice. We all think more options is a good thing, right? Well, it turns out not so much. There's this classic study with jam. Seriously, when shoppers were given 24 different jams to choose from, they got so overwhelmed they were 10 times less likely to buy anything compared to when they were only shown 6 options. Too much choice can literally paralyze us.
This whole thing often comes down to 2 different ways people make decisions. Are you a maximizer or a satisficer? Maximizers feel like they have to find the absolute #1 perfect option. They'll research for days. A satisficer, on the other hand, just looks for something that's good enough, and then they move on with their life. And get this, the research shows that maximizers, after all that extra work, are usually less happy with their choice. Crazy, right?
Okay, so how in the world do we start breaking this loop? Well, the very first tool, the foundation for everything else, isn't some complex strategy. It's about changing the way you talk to yourself when you're struggling. It's all about self-compassion. I mean, just think about it. If your best friend messed up, would you call them stupid? Of course not. You'd be supportive. You'd tell them it's okay. Self-compassion is just learning to turn that exact same kindness inward, especially when that inner critic is screaming at you. And it's so important to know this is different from self-esteem. Self-esteem is kind of like a roller coaster, right? It goes way up when we succeed and it crashes and burns when we fail. Self-compassion is your home base. It's stable. It's an internal resource that's always there, especially after you've fallen down, when you need it most. Researcher Dr. Kristen Neff breaks this down into 3 simple parts. First, there's self-kindness. That's just actively being gentle with yourself instead of critical. Then there's common humanity. This is the huge realization that messing up is just part of being human. You're not alone in this. And finally, mindfulness. This is about being able to notice your negative feelings without getting totally swept away by it. So, with that more compassionate mindset taking shape, we can start to deal with the physical side of all this. Because when anxiety hits, your body goes into fight or flight mode. But you can actually use simple physical hacks to tell your nervous system, hey, it's okay, we're safe. This one is one of the most powerful tools out there, the 4-7-8 breath. It's so easy. You just breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then exhale slowly through your mouth for a full 8 seconds. That long exhale is the magic key. It literally flips a switch in your nervous system that tells your whole body to chill out. It's like a built-in reset button. Here's another one you can do absolutely anywhere and nobody will even know. It's the 3-3-3 rule, and it yanks you out of that stormy spiral in your head. Just stop and name 3 things you can actually see around you. Then, listen and name 3 sounds you can hear. And finally, move 3 parts of your body. Wiggle your fingers, roll your shoulders, tap your feet. It's a simple, fast sensory reset.
So, once your body is a little calmer, you can start working on your mind.
These next tools are all about rewiring the actual thought patterns that create the anxiety in the first place.
This is a massive tool from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. It's called cognitive restructuring, and it just means you become a detective for your own thoughts. Instead of automatically accepting every anxious thought as 100% true, you learn to put it on trial and actually look at the evidence.
The key is to ask yourself really simple questions when a worry hits. Challenge it. Ask, wait a second, is this thought based on cold, hard facts, or is it just a feeling I'm having? Or what is the actual evidence for this? You'll be surprised how often your worst-case fears are built on emotion, not reality.
Okay, this next one is going to sound a little strange, but I'm telling you, it works wonders. Instead of letting worry hijack your entire day, you're going to give it an appointment.
Here's how you do it. You set aside a 15 or 30-minute block of time every day, just not right before bed. This is your official, dedicated worry time. If a worry shows up outside of that time, you just acknowledge it and tell it, I'll deal with you later, during my scheduled appointment. This contains the worry, and it teaches your brain that you are in control, not the anxiety.
We've covered mindset, your body, and your thoughts. The final circuit breaker is maybe the most powerful of all. It's action. The ultimate antidote to the paralysis of overthinking is to simply get moving.
And this quote from Jeff Bezos is such a brilliant mental model for this. He doesn't see decisions as these permanent, scary things. He sees them as doors. And it turns out most of them are doors you can walk right back through if you need to.
He breaks decisions into two types. Type 1 are the one-way doors. These are the big, consequential, irreversible choices. They deserve slow, careful thought. But here's the thing. He argues the vast, vast majority of our decisions are Type 2, two-way doors. They're changeable. We get stuck because we treat every little Type 2 decision like it's a massive Type 1. The key is to see the difference and just make those Type 2 decisions quickly.
To help with that, there's something called the 70% rule. Basically, if you wait until you have 90% or 100% of the information to make a decision, you're probably moving too slow. Make the call when you have about 70% of the info you wish you had. It is so much better to be in motion and able to course correct than to be perfectly still, paralyzed by perfectionism.
And hey, if you're stuck on a task, not just a decision, try the 5-minute rule. Just tell yourself you only have to work on that thing you're dreading for 5 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes. But the magic is, starting is the hardest part. Once you're in motion, you'll often just keep going.
So let's recap your new toolkit. To break that overthinking loop, you practice self-compassion to change your inner dialogue. You use grounding techniques to calm your body. You schedule your worries to take back control, and you develop a bias for action to break through the paralysis. The future is always going to be uncertain. We can't know what's going to happen, and trying to control it all is where so much of our anxiety comes from. The only thing we can ever truly control is what we do in this present moment. So the question isn't how to solve everything all at once, it's simply this. What one small action, what one two-way door decision are you going to make right now?